Hello, everybody, and welcome to Late Night Football. I was initially not going to do this episode after what we witnessed in the afternoon, but I felt, you know what, maybe we should do it. Maybe we should talk about what happened today with Manchester United, what happened in the Champions League, because it will probably help me and might also help fellow Manchester United fans just to hear different opinions, just to hear what's been going on, because I mean, what a difference a week makes. In some ways, last week we were talking about Manchester United's 5-0 win over Leipzig. Brilliant game, and it's rare to see United win such a comprehensively and tactically. And then we come to today, and it was like there was no cohesion, there was no tactics. It was sad to watch. It was very sad to watch, and we're going to talk about that. I feel it will probably help me as much as help you, but we're going to discuss that along with the other results in the Champions League. We're going to do roundup as well, the other games in the Champions League, and as the groups now start to take some form, as we start to see maybe get some picture of where of which teams are going to qualify. I think this will be something to look forward to as well. But our main focus will be on the on the Istanbul United game, so we'll talk about that now. And before we do, I just want to remind everyone, please do remember to like and share this video if you enjoy what we discuss or what I talk about. And also remember to subscribe to the channel if you're new. We've just crossed 110 subscribers. Really excited about that. Now we can start thinking about 120 subscribers. We're gonna it's what we do. We keep small goals and then we seem to achieve them. So let's help us get to 120 subscribers. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the game. I mean, right off the bat, I think there were some very poor selections that were made in this game, and if I mean, it's hard to pinpoint. I mean, there is a bit of issue with the numbers, because I think if Alex Telles is fit, he starts this game if Alex Telles is fit, but he's not fit, so you have to start Shaw. You have to start wan-Bissaka, because I mean, I don't know what Brandon Williams has to do get a game. He's seemingly like, yes, last season seemed to be his breakthrough. Now you can't even get into the team as a right back or a left back. It's kind of sad. It's kind of a little bit annoying to see, but anyway, I mean that's the situation. I get that, and I mean the real issue is Mata. I don't think this was a game to start Mata. I don't know what is a game to start Mata anymore, to be honest. Like maybe early rounds of the cup games. Maybe I wouldn't even put him in the Premier League. I know some say put him in the Premier League at home games against Fulham or West Brom, but really, I mean even those games, I just don't see where Mata fits into this team anymore. I mean he's a great guy, but he's not even that he's past it. It's just it's not he's not the player that you would trust. He doesn't create a lot of chances. He doesn't score a lot of goals unless they're penalties or free kicks. So really, what does he offer to this team? So that was a bit of weird selection. But I feel the biggest thing, and this is reflected in both the goals that were scored, was I think this team took Istanbul lightly. I think the fans took Istanbul lightly. I think the players and the coaches will not want to admit it, but they took this team lightly. They took this game lightly. Their focus was on the Everton game, and that was reflected in the team selections, and it was reflected in that first goal, because when you have a situation where 10 players are all beyond, they're all beyond in the final third of the other team, then it's not even a case of something on the halfway line and being caught out. They were all in the final third, and when you do that, you're basically saying, it doesn't matter, we'll get the ball. No, the ball's never going to go there, we'll get it back. That was the attitude. Now that clearly was the attitude. Anybody can say anything they want. That was the attitude, and it showed. Then they conceded that goal, which was basically Bar had a free run to that goal. I don't know what the defending was. My first initial thought was this was Matic's fault. It was. I don't think I would. I know a lot of people will say maybe the centre back should be behind, but I get the fact that it came from a corner. There was a cross. Maybe the centre backs, because of the height, you think that they will go and cross it. In which case, it has to be the CDM and it has to be the left-sided fullback, because Shaw has no business needing to be that forward. If wan-Bissaka is that forward, he's got to make sure that he's back. So I mean those two, but I think most people say it's Matic's fault. So I'll say, yeah, that's fine. It should have been Matic doing something. But even then, the center half's been that high. I mean, it's just I don't know. I don't know what it was. And the second goal, same thing again. Bruno plays a pass back. He's trying to retain possession. Mata is trying to do a bit of a kippy uppy thing. I don't know what he's trying to do there. He lets the ball go through him. Again, it's complacency, because guarantee if that this was a game against City or Liverpool, that none of those things would have happened, right? Because then you could say that he probably wouldn't have the ball in that advanced area anyway, but you wouldn't see such things being tried. But Mata, gives the lets the ball, that has a bad touch, but also lets it go a bit. he can't get back quickly enough. Wan-Bissaka, don't know where he is in the picture at that point. He's probably far up. And I've said this before. I don't think Wan-Bissaka can do the offensive defensive role. I think he's struggling. A lot of people are trying to pinpoint what's wrong. That is what's wrong. He cannot do offensive and defensive duties together. He can't. When you play him in a back five, you're alleviating some of his defensive responsibilities because you've got a third defender, so he looks good, which is what he did against PSG. When you play a diamond, you kind of help him again a little bit because I don't think Wan-Bissaka was that great against Leipzig anyway. I mean, I don't think he was exceptional. I think he did his job very well. He kept a clean sheet. That's great. I don't think he was as good as he was against PSG. But even there, I think because he played a diamond, I think that might have helped him a little bit because I think it gave him a bit more license to understand his role because he knew I don't know what the reasoning was, but I think the diamond helps him. I think the back five obviously helps him, and the 4-2-3-1 thing that they played today, they played a 4-2-3-1 today. And I somehow I think that doesn't help him. I think somehow it doesn't help him. Maybe the fact that he has to keep overlapping past the forward, which he doesn't have to do in a diamond because in a diamond the forwards are very close together. So maybe he doesn't have to do that overlapping thing a lot. Whereas in the 4-2-3-1 he has to do that a lot and he can't. And so you sometimes find him like being in the side. I've said this so many times. So it almost feels like he's a third center half with the way he makes his runs, offensive runs, and then tries to come back. So I mean there's issues there with Wan-Bissaka. And that never stood right in the goal. Oh, sorry, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. And then obviously the cross comes in. Maguire doesn't deal with it as he normally doesn't. And the second goal. So both goals came from complacency. It was a good header for that. I think that aside from that header and then the goal line clearance, I don't think United created anything much. So in some ways it's just sad to see these goals being conceded, and I'll talk about this in a second. But it's just sad to see these goals being conceded, and then at the other end, United is struggling to create chances. And I don't know what it is. It's been going on for 4 managers now that, excuse me, that they aren't able to break down teams. They're unable to create chances, clear-cut chances. They can do it against teams that keep a high line, but against teams that defend deep, that park the bus, it just seems to struggle. And I don't know what it is. At some point you say it's tactics, but then it's 4 managers that have had time to deal with this issue, and different players. Many different players have come and gone, and they still haven't dealt with it. So I don't know what it is, but I mean, it's poor selections, and then there was defensive lapses, as we talked about, and it's difficult now because I'm not all in, all out. I'm not all out yet, but I feel I'm slowly shifting to that mindset because I'm starting to see what I don't like, and I've said this often, is I don't care about results as much. I mean, I felt this season Ole is on a hiding to nothing. He's probably going to get sacked at the end of the season because there's no way in hell that they're finishing 4th or higher. That's not happening. I mean, anybody can say, they can call it negative. You can call it, it's too early to tell. It's not too early to tell. You can clearly tell that they're not going to get into top 4 with this team, with this set of players. It's not going to happen. I mean, if fair play, if you're optimistic, if you want to believe that, I'm not trying to crush your bubble, but it's not happening. It's definitely not happening. So the best you can hope for, the thing is that there's a Europa Conference League thing happening next season. So you can finish 8th and still get into European football next season. Make of that what you will. Obviously, I don't think United will be too chuffed about that. But I mean, even that, you're looking at maybe 7th or 8th is probably where realistically this team is at the moment going to finish. Maybe 6th will be an achievement actually, but that's where it's looking likely that they're going to finish. So I'm not even talking about that. I think that's fine. The issue that I have is the fact that when you look at the, I don't care about the results, but you look at the performances, you look at the players. It just seems like all this, it's not doing much to improve that, and that's where my issue is. If he's not improving that side of things, I don't care about results. If he's not improving performances, if he's not, making the right selections, which he is not, then I think he should go. I think for the next game, because we'll do a preview, and I will say this there, but I'll say it now. So for the next game, if he picks Pogba and if he picks Maguire, and I know one of those two will definitely start, but if he picks both of them, or even if he picks one of them, and the team loses, then I think I will question my support for Oli. I think I will be at the point where I'll question it. It'll be hard for me to justify it because on current form, neither of those two deserve to start. You could even say that Wan-Bissaka doesn't deserve to start, but I can kind of understand if he goes with Wan-Bissaka or Fosu-Mensah. Fosu-Mensah was very good for the 15 minutes that he came on. He actually made a few tackles. He actually looks more comfortable in that offensive defensive combination role. He's probably not defensively as good as Wan-Bissaka, and he's probably offensively not as good as you want a United fullback to be. but he understands that role much better than wan-Bissaka does. I think wan-Bissaka, if you let him just be a defensive fullback, well, he's the best defensive fullback in the Premier League. But having to do both together, he just can't do it. So, but I understand that. But I think those two should not be starting the next game against Everton. But one of them, probably both of them, will start. And if that happens and they lose, because if they start and United win, then fair enough. The team comes first. I'll let my I don't think I don't think I will be that upset. The team wins, because whether the team wins, I don't care who gets selected, who doesn't. It's about the team winning over. But I think if he makes the wrong selections and the team loses, then obviously I will have to consider my support for that. But this is it's sad to see. I think the players, I mean, they are overrated. I've said this many times. I think United, a lot of times people make these assumptions about United based on the name of the club. Like, oh, it's Manchester United. These players are Manchester United players, rather than looking at the players themselves. I think a lot of them are overrated. I think a lot of them are not at the level that they need to be for United to be top four contenders. I think they overachieved last season. But that's just the way it goes, right? It's always about, in the media, everywhere, it's about building players up so you can break them down. But I mean, that's just the thing. But here's the interesting thing, and I said this as well in my review show for the Arsenal game. We said, I don't think Solskjaer is going to get sacked before the Everton game, and he wasn't. I didn't think he was going to get, I mean, there was a chance he wasn't going to get sacked even if he lost the Everton game, because we were all assuming that he would have won the Istanbul game. So he'd be 3-3 in Europe, and his European form would be enough to let him go past the international break. I now believe that if he loses the Everton game, he probably will get sacked. He probably deserves to get sacked if he picks the team selections wrong. He makes the wrong selections and he loses. I think he should get sacked anyway. But even if he makes the right team selections and the team loses, I think there's a good chance he'll get sacked, because then you're looking at 7 points from 7 games, and it will be it is. I mean, you might as well at that point pull the trigger, because United ain't going anywhere. They're not going to win the Champions League. They're not going to get into the Champions League season. That's not going to happen. No matter what they do from here, it's not going to happen. So, I mean, at that point, you've got to start thinking, well, if you are going to make a managerial change, and if you're going to bring in someone like a Pochettino, because they ain't getting Nagelsmann, right? You ideally want someone like Nagelsmann, someone young, maybe Rangnick. But Rangnick, I think, is available right now. So the managers that are available, Rangnick, Pochettino, Allegri, you don't need to wait till the end of the season. So you might as well just sack the manager and begin the transition now, as opposed to doing it at the end of the season. That's just my opinion. But I mean, we'll wait and see. I know people will say that I'm being negative. People will say that I'm being too doomsday-ish. I am. I know I am. But I think at this point, it just feels so realistic, the prospects that we're talking about now. I honestly thought he was going to get sacked at the end of the Arsenal game, because I thought results were going to go against him. I thought he was going to lose all those 4 games, or 5 if you count the Newcastle. I thought he was going to lose the Newcastle game as well. But he did well to get past that. But I mean, the wheels, they just seem to be coming off at this point. There's just so many issues in that team. And I don't want to make this, I mean, this is, Thread will tell you, it is a United-centric video. I don't want to make it too United-centric, and we'll talk about this in the preview show. But it doesn't look good at the moment for the club, and then there are lots of reasons for that. And maybe if we get to that point where we have to talk about it, we will talk about it. But I mean, some of you probably already know what the reasons are. But it's not looking good. It is not looking good, and it's not helped. Certain things have not. Luck hasn't been on United side as well a little bit. Lose Telles so quickly. He had such a great debut, and then he got COVID and he's out. He's probably not going to be back until after the international break. And I mean, by that point, there might be a new manager, but I mean, it's sad. But the sad part is that this group is actually there for the taking. I mean, if they won today, if United won today and then they win at home, that's 12 points, and that's a group done and dusted, because they have a better head-to-head record over PSG and Leipzig. So even if they lose to both, because they won 5-0 over Leipzig, you would assume that even if they lost to both, and and let's say both of them beat each other 6 points, and then they get to 12, United will still qualify, because you don't expect them to ship 5 goals against Leipzig in the return game. Now, and if they get a draw, that's even great. Or if both the teams actually drew with each other, I mean, if results had gone their way and they both drew with each other and United won both games, they would have qualified already. That won't happen now. But now Leipzig are on 6 points, PSG are on 3 points, and United are on 6 points, right? So they're both level on points. Even if United win the next game against Istanbul, they'll get to 9 points. You'd assume, I mean, it's dangerous to assume, but if PSG lose to Leipzig in the next game, then it's a good chance that United can qualify, because even if they lose to PSG, if they lose within a certain margin, they can still qualify in head-to-head. If PSG beat Leipzig, is 6 points, United on 9 points, and it gets a little bit complicated because they'll need to get a draw from somewhere. And I think that the safe bet is to assume that Leipzig are going to lose to PSG because PSG are going to be playing at home. And United, it's there's no safe bet with United, so I'm not even going to assume that they're going to win. But I mean, if you were to assume that United were to win, they'll still need to get a draw from somewhere, which they didn't need to do. They could have just breezed through it, and they put themselves in such a great position. It's just such a shame to watch. But Leipzig did beat PSG 2-1. PSG led 1-0 and then got a red card and then lost 2-1. It is now tightly poised in that group. As I said, United and Leipzig both on 6 points, and PSG are third on 3 points. But there's still a long way to go in this group, only because of the X factor that is Istanbul. If Istanbul can get a draw out of the next game, I think PSG and Leipzig will be like, yeah, that's it will, what it will do is it will dent United's confidence significantly, and that, I think, mentality is going to be a big part. It's going to play a big part in this group. But I mean, it's still all to play for all the teams, and that's good. But PSG are struggling this season. I think they're not doing so well in Liga. They're not doing well in the Champions League. I mean, if they go down to the Europa League, it is an unfathomable prospect at this point, and it may not happen. But if they do go down to the Europa League, that is going to be a real. I think, I don't know what's going to happen there. I think Tuchel might be thinking about things more closely. Like, he might be wondering what's happening, and he might even get the sack. So he might be another manager in pressure, under pressure as well in that group. But I mean, as I said, it's a long way to go, and United still have a lot of time to bottle this up and be the ones to drop down instead. But we shall keep an eye on that. We'll keep an eye on that. In another other group results, we said we're going to cover the others as well. We're going to talk about Group E. A lot of Group E first. We'll go on order. So Group E, Chelsea beat Krasnodar. Pretty comfortable result. Sorry, they beat Rennes, not Krasnodar. Sorry, they beat Rennes 3-0. Pretty comfortable result. There was a red card in that one as well, but I mean, even without the red card, I think Chelsea looked pretty comfortable. It's a pretty easy group once you get past Sevilla, so I'm not surprised about that. And they look pretty comfortable. They now lose sitting pretty on 7 points. So if they win the next game against Rennes, they will have more or less qualified from this group. So it's looking pretty good for them now, and it's just a matter. I think it's a matter of getting those, keeping that concentration, keeping the confidence, and just getting the results. And we just Lampard, another clean sheet for them. I mean, that's a big story, isn't it? They're keeping clean sheets. They couldn't buy a clean sheet at the start of the season. Now it's like it's like the cold just refuses to go in against them. They're really doing well, and that's great. And that's great for Frank Lampard. And that's exactly what we talk about, And sometimes you just got to pick. You got to. You can't be egotistical. You can't have favorites. Sometimes you've got to do what needs to be done with the team, and he did that. He's found a team. He's sticking to it. He's let his go of whatever he goes he had, or whatever reservations he might have had. He said, no, this is the team that I'm picking. This is the team I'm sticking to. And sometimes you need to do that. You need to do that sometimes. And unfortunately, and Lampard has done that. That's kudos to him. Sevilla somehow managed to pull it up 3-2 in the end. They were trailing in that game, but there was a red card against them as well. So they showed a lot of incredible mental fortitude to come back and win 3-2. Incredible game, incredible result for Sevilla, an incredible result for people who are in the teams in the Europa League. Because, like I said, those are the ones that are saying, we just somehow, Sevilla, please finish second. We don't want you in the Europa League. And it doesn't look like, again, for them as well. They're now both Chelsea and Sevilla on 7 points. The other two on 1 point each. So a win for both of those two teams in the next round, and the group's done and dusted. So yeah, because then both of them will be on 10 points. No way for the other team to catch them. So I think it'll be important for both of them to get wins. Maybe even draws might do it, but yeah, a win would certainly seal the deal and finish this group off as a contest. So that will be interesting to watch as well for the next round. We could have that conclusion in the next round of games. Group F, another interesting group. Dortmund made all the news for a long time about with them losing, but they came back and they won 3-0 against Brugge. Club Brugge. Again, no surprises there in some ways, but a good result. I think they needed Haaland continue scoring goals for whatever. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what he's made of, but this guy just doesn't. When there's a big win or there's a win, you can almost 90% safely assume that Haaland's got a goal or two. So he's got a couple of goals there, which is incredible, amazing performance from Dortmund, and I think they needed that, especially out of this big game coming up this weekend against Bayern. They needed that win. So it's good for them. And Lazio, being inconsistent as always, they drew with Zenit 1-1. So, I mean, they beat Dortmund, but then, they've drawn the other two games. So it's a little bit of a yo-yo thing over there. But that's shaping up to be a nice group. It's 6 points to Dortmund, 5 points to Lazio, 4 points for Brugge. At this moment in time, it is possible that Brugge could upset the apple cart, but I think at the end of the next round, I think we'll probably get an idea, because if Dortmund beat Brugge and Lazio beat Zenit, then Dortmund are more or less through, and it will then depend on what Lazio and Brugge do in that game. So there's still a lot to play for. It's not all done and dusted yet, but it's starting to take shape, I think, that group as well. But it will be interesting to watch. And then the final one we're going to talk about, Group G. Barcelona and Juventus both winning again. Barcelona a bit scrappy 2-1 victory over Dynamo Kiev. I know Griezmann missed a sitter, a very easy chance, and that is not going to help his case at all. But still got the job done. And this group, again, like we said, Juventus also won against Ferencvaros. They beat Ferencvaros for 1. So that was a good result as well. So basically, as we expected, Barcelona and Juventus are ahead in the lead. I think Barcelona more or less are now through. 8 points clear, 3 games left to play. Just get a win in the next game and they'll be through. And I think Juventus aren't too far behind. If they get a win in the next game, then they also will be through. So yeah, because then it'll be 1 point each, and those guys will be 8 points clear with 2 games left to play. So so that group is pretty much shipping up. For all of Barcelona's problems, they are undefeated in Europe, 3 wins out of 3. So whatever problems they have, it's not an issue of getting wins. 9 goals scored as well, so they don't have too many. They're not having too many issues in Europe. So the thing with Barcelona is a lot of people are comparing it to the Barcelona of yesteryear. I think it's a bit of an issue the same with United, where they're getting compared to these teams of the past and they go, this team is shit. Whereas sometimes you just got to take a step back and realize, you know what, you've got to judge this team for now. You've got to judge this team based on what it is at this point in time. And Barcelona aren't that bad. They're not great. I don't know if they can win the Champions League. They probably cannot win the Champions League. They probably will not win the league or the Champions League. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're a shit team. They're just not comparable to the teams of yesteryears, and that's fair. I mean, that happens from time to time. I know this is not what people want to hear. I know fans will be like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, and probably you're right. But they seem to be doing for a team in transition. Let's put it this way: for a team in transition, they seem to be doing what a team in transition does, and that may not be good enough for fans, and I accept that. But that's just the reality. I think if you look at the United experience, it could or the Milan experience, it could be much worse for a team in transition. I mean, the proof is there for people to see. But nonetheless, it's turning out to be good. It's a little bit sad to see that things are forming now, and it looks like some groups are getting decided. Not going to go through the results from yesterday, but you all know that there are things even happening, shaping up there. And it's a little bit sad to see that the group's already getting decided at this early stage. Some of the teams are going to qualify by the time we play the 4th game. Some teams will have already qualified. It's a bit sad to see, but at the same time, that's the way the Champions League has been, right? I mean, the group stages, in most cases, the group stages are, for most teams, are a cakewalk. For others, there are sometimes occasionally there are a group of deaths, but and competitive tight groups. But usually, for the big teams, more often than not, it becomes a cakewalk. Just the way it is structured. But anyway, that's the roundup. I think we spent a lot of time talking about Manchester United, as was the case, because that was the game that I followed. But again, a roundup. Hopefully, there's a little bit. I'm not claiming this to be a full roundup, full review, but hopefully there's something there for the other groups as well to be excited about. But if you like that, please remember to like, share, and share this video, and please subscribe to the channel if you're new. Help us reach 120 subscribers. Let's see if we can get there by the end of this week. We'll be back with the match day preview show for this weekend's Premier League games. Some very interesting conversations that will be there, and of course, there's a big game coming up between Manchester City and Liverpool. That'll be an interesting game to keep your eye out for. So join us for that one, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.